Oh, hey, yo, Chris here, showing you the first little developer update for No Running in the Halls. Now, that is right now currently just kind of the working name of the project. It is still a work in progress, but let's just kind of dive into what we're actually really looking at. So, what this is going to be aimed to do is be a mobile 2D side scroller kind of mobile platform. Now, what I really aim to do and kind of the innovation of this project is kind of merge the gap between mobile gamers, PC gamers, and console gamers. And kind of the big faux pas with mobile gamers is it's kind of seen as more of the childish, less challenging, those quick, like 3 minute games. They're not stuff that has a ton of depth to it. Or if it does have more depth to it, it's just buy now, pay this, wait 3 months or like a week to upgrade your castle or something like that. And I really want to kind of break through that and kind of create a new niche. So going back with that kind of classic style, Mario side scroller, but something that's a little bit more repetitive, not repetitive, replayable. So I was kind of inspired by games kind of like Temple Run and stuff like that. That was that continuous run. Jetpack Joyrider. It's continuing. The player is always moving, across the screen. Something is always happening. I did want to get the player a little bit more control, so moving within the world. But just the basic kind of idea. All this is placeholders right now, but as you can see, just kind of a basic side scroller and stuff. The working project is running in the halls. Obviously, this has nothing to do with this. This is Ness from, the original game. Oh gosh, Moonwalker, something like that for the NES, and then the original Atari ET model for that. So you can see all this is really just practicing putting platforms at reasonable heights, randomized gaps within the base world, enemies that have a slight AI to them, and then also there is like scoring mechanic and a hitting mechanic as well for later on boss fights as well. So again, what I'm trying to aim to do is close that gap between PC gamers and mobile gamers. So what I aim to do is create a real challenging puzzle action kind of element to it. To put it in a very basic terms without really diving too much, just to put kind of that niche into it, is I'm aiming to create the mobile version of Dark Souls or Cuphead. Something that is going to be challenging and puzzling, but again, not something that's going to take a super long time to complete. So for the base version I want to get going, there's going to be three bosses that will appear in on this right side based on the theme, and they're each going to have some interesting mechanics to kind of fight back at them. So I was going to say the theme is going to be around, that's my 3 year old in the background, around school and no running in the halls. So something I've recently putting kind of creative idea and modifications to my game is I really want to create a really cool theme. So there's a game I've been following a little bit more lately called Undertale, which is again, it kind of has a similar art style to what I'm aiming for, a little bit more simplistic game, but had a really cool kind of hidden storyline that's not clear at the surface, but it kind of boils down to kind of a boy who's dealing with like some depression, some bipolar kind of disorder and stuff. And it's the way it's like subtly hinted through the world is kind of what I want to create. But again, that's not something that's ever really done in a mobile platformer before. So the idea is like no running in the halls. So I kind of want to create a school themed idea that has kind of almost pun bosses to it in a sense. So the first two that I've come up with, is you could have like a bully, which is going to be like a physical bull that will come in. And then my idea, since that's kind of a brute animal, like a brute character, if you're thinking in the terms of, a child and you're actually facing a bully, going through these trials of school, having him kind of throw stuff. And again, I had a slight hitting mechanic already messing with as I'm working on this boss. So I was thinking, something along the lines of having to like hit stuff back at him, certain timings, trial and error kind of stuff. Another one I was going to do would be a hall monitor, which would actually be a snake, pun on the monitor aspect of it, and then something ridiculous for the final boss fight would be something like Duck Norris or something along those lines. But I really want to put a theme to it. So with this first sprint, really, I feel pretty good about what I got going. I'm working on a prototype, which is really more of just for later on. I've created a website for the project in itself, I'm going to post the first developer update on it as well, and I'm going to take some screenshots as it kind of changes, talking about the concept of what I want to bring to it, and then anything else, just basic website kind of stuff. So really, what I'm working on, and what I really need that's not going super well, but I want to go better, is finalizing my idea and the theming of it. Kind of with my degree being more of game programming, I have tons of ideas about how to make the bosses work, fun, interesting, puzzling kind of ideas, which I will get into in a later video. I don't want to put too much out on the internet before I actually get to implement everything. But I do really need to kind of finalize art styles, names, kind of a theme, just some of those little details to tie the world in together more and to make it a little bit more meaningful as well. Some of the next steps is actually just I have a board that I'm working on, and just kind of laying out the events of it. Because right now, as far as a prototype, I have a decent start to actually making this game work. The next part is just really implementing test bosses for those three, making them a little bit more fluent into the game, making the systems in place a little bit more fluent. When you're playing the game, you'll get some really big gaps, but then sometimes you'll also get some minor gaps, and then sometimes the game thinks that the ground isn't the ground, and you kind of get in a perpetual jump. So some of those small bug fixes, as well as stuff, making the AI a little bit more interactive. They do kind of chase you, which is already interesting. They kind of more leapfrog at you, so which I really like. But again, it has to go all to the theme. It doesn't really make sense that they kind of do these like little jumping, bouncing animations at you if that doesn't suit the theme of the final enemy of the boss. But that is our first developer update for No Running the Halls. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys keep following along. And I will see you in the next developer update. Take it easy.